Hey everyone, what's up? It's James Martin here. I'm a professional editor. I've done tons of trailers, and I want to talk to you about what, in my opinion, is perhaps the greatest trailer of all time. And we are talking about none other than the trailer for Pirates of the Caribbean 3 at World's End. If you're someone where you're trying to learn how to make really good trailers and the different techniques that you can be doing to really make those trailers so cinematic and to get the viewers excited about the movie, whether it's your own or someone else's, this trailer has it all. This trailer gives me a lot of inspiration in terms of how to make my editing better and what I should be doing in a trailer to make it a lot more compelling and exciting. We are going to watch this start to finish and break down what it does right and the different techniques that it includes. Of course, we're going to be sucking the life out of this trailer, so please bear with me. I'll try and make this as quick and as fun as possible. But without further ado, let us begin, shall we? So one of the things that's kind of interesting here is that they don't start with trailer music. That's something I find really interesting. You'll notice that the music they're actually using is the soundtrack from Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, right? Listen very closely. This is an excellent example of how to really bring us into the tone. And then we go into this rise, this da-bum. Boom. And what I really like about this rise and then this boom is that it gets us right into the meat. It's like, okay, we've given you sort of the theme and the context. Now let's get straight to business. And this is important when you have your trailer. A lot of times when I look at amateur made trailers, it's just the music and the flashy cuts. But something that so many people miss, and to me this is one of the really important things about a good trailer versus an amateur, is you gotta tell a story. Like, the trailer is sort of a story within the overall story. Like, you're basically asking the question, you're giving everyone the idea of what this is serving. Something else that you're going to notice too, which I find very interesting, is this clip where the compass closes is actually not in the movie. This is one of the advantages that editors of movies have, because you have access to all the different takes and anything that doesn't make it on the cutting room floor, you have access to it, which can be great for these trailers. So, but also notice how when the compass closes, it's right on the beat, right? If you're familiar with my work on this channel, I talk about so many times about how you want to end a cut or an action on a beat. So there you go, this. Let's continue.
What would you do? What would any of you be willing to do? Would you brave the weird and haunted shores at World's End to fetch back Witty Jack?
If you want a bit of a comedy effect, then you have everything just all of a sudden stop, and then you introduce like a funny moment, which is what we're actually going to get next.
Did no one come to save me just because they missed me?
It's like no one came. No one wanted to save him. You also notice that when we have Jack Sparrow talking, we also have the beginning part of the He's a Pirate soundtrack. You think everything is awesome, and then just like, nope, we don't care about you, mate. But something else that I noticed about this beginning music too that's really good is notice when they cut to the beats of the music, right? This is something that's also really cool too. So you may not notice, but these shots here are all deliberately slowed down, which is great. It gives that sort of that intenseness, that like, oh crap, we're dead kind of vibe to it. And of course it keeps fading in and out of black. And then I love how as soon as the passage ends, we get a whole bunch of cannons blasting.
Our time is coming to an end.
The whole point of this movie is that pirates are becoming an endangered species, and they gotta rise up and fight back. That's really the movie in a nutshell. So it's constantly giving us that information.
Fight and all of you will die.
Now, I love how this clip was cut, because what's interesting is, let me play for you the entire part of that in its full context.
You can fight and all of you will die, or you can not fight, in which case only most of you will die.
But here's what this guy does. So he includes the first part, ends that sentence. So he takes the die at the end of that and combines it with the first.
You can fight and all of you will die.
Now, obviously, the editor would have the ability to take just the audio and just the dialogue from the movie without including the music. Obviously, I don't have access to that, but that's basically the idea. And that's a way how you can manipulate dialogue to make it sound like they're just delivering that one line. If I were to literally just turn off the visual for this and you were just to listen to it,
you can fight and all of you will die.
It kind of sounds like he's delivering one single line. And of course, put that with trailer music.
You can fight and all of you will die.
So that's an excellent one on how you can manipulate the dialogue to get where you're using. Now, another thing to pick apart as well is notice how this guy, the guy who made the trailer, notice how he's really filling in the time. Like, he's not just throwing in random stuff. Like, every time he's giving us these moments, we're being told information. A bunch of characters have tried to kill him in the past, but only one succeeded. Well, of course, if you watch the movies, you know what he's talking about.
We've worked out between us.
Keep telling yourself that, darling.
This is another really cool technique that he uses. Just to give us some context, so the first clip is the moment when Barbossa shoots in the Brethren Court. The second moment is when they blow up Singapore, but they combine them. Right, so it makes it look as if like the gun set off the explosion, which of course didn't, because they took place in completely different scenarios. But it's by doing a combination of that where you don't think about it too much, you just assume one led to the other, and it makes that boom just a lot more exciting.
You know they face extinction.
It just cuts all the build up and it just like, look, here's what's at stake. And of course, this moment is everyone's favorite, this moment in the trailer. But of course, this build up, it's all about the build up that is really exciting. Looking at this, like, this is the shot that they introduce us. This is them telling us, like, look, this is the ride that you're in for, okay? Barbossa riding, like, wheeling the ship as if he's riding a motorcycle. And then we have this pan where we go from the Dutchman on one side of this whirlpool or this maelstrom to the other side where we have the Black Pearl. It's the most intense battle, the most intense ship battle we're about to have. And then of course we have X-Ray Dog, Dark Empire, which is just awesome.
Will you marry me?
I don't think now's the best time!
What is there to talk about? Notice the combination of he's cutting on a beat versus an action on a beat. That's a really good combination of cuts too. When he's like, will you marry me? And then there's just chaos all around.
You marry me?
I don't think now's the best time!
Here's the moment that we've all been waiting for. This drove everyone nuts. A lot of people tried to replicate what this did, and no one could figure it out. Everyone thought, what if we took the clip from the movie itself and played that over top? Does that work? Well, clearly not. That meant that this guy had to go in and do some retiming. So he basically took it and made it actually a little bit faster so that we got this. But let's talk about the fact that he chose the moment when we have this hyper intense moment. That's where we have this sword fight between Davy Jones and Jack Sparrow on top of the Dutchman. Like, this was the moment we were all waiting for. It was super exciting. There was no fooling around. It was just the two of them going right at it. This is what I love so much about this trailer, is that it builds up the tension, it builds up towards this fight scene, and then it just punches us with this climax, and it's like, get ready, because this is where we're going with the story. And it was actually a really smart move, because in the music, you might hear this constant beat happening, right? Right, it just sounds so intense. And the fact that this guy chose for this sword fight to happen was actually a really smart move. It was perhaps some of the most genius trailer editing I've ever seen. Something else this guy did that a lot of you may not have noticed. This is the original coloring from the movie. So it always uses a lot of green. It's meant to be a very scary scenario. So you give it a little more blue, you turn down the saturation, and you increase the brightness and the shadows, and you get this color tone, which feels a lot more appropriate for a trailer because oranges and blues tend to feel a lot more exciting and a lot more intense than other colors. So we have a lot of blue and we have this just gray intense scenario. And then the next thing that you want to add, of course, is you want to add in the swords hitting each other. Now, I didn't really bother to go out and look for or try and replicate like those individual sword sounds, so I know that I'm repeating the same sword sound again, but this is just to show you that you take that clip and then we add the sound effects to really emphasize each of those beats, right? Now, I think, in my opinion, this kind of needs just a little coloring, and I think this deserves a little bit of thunder and lightning in the background. When I heard the trailer, every time I hear it, I keep imagining that there should be thunder and lightning in the background. But anyways, if we were to go in and add the thunder and lightning just for the fun of it, this is what it would look like. Notice the chaos in this last moment too. But we also have this moment when Davy Jones lifts up Jack Sparrow and Jack Sparrow just smiles. That's a really good moment. We're just having all this chaos and then we're breaking for a moment. You kind of want those crazy fast moments, and then you want to have a moment where we reflect on a certain reaction. A lot of amateur editors, when they're making a trailer, they tend to only stick to one piece of music, but if you really want to tell that story, often you gotta use plenty. So as we've already established, this has the Pirates of the Caribbean Black Pearl soundtrack. Then we go into this soundtrack. We have the He's a Pirate soundtrack, and we go into this music, and then of course we have Dark Empire. So we're using, I think, 5 or 6 different soundtracks, but the fact that they all match so well together, I can never get enough of these graphics too. And notice how, if you look at the graphics, so you have bright text, dark background. This is important so that you can have the text pop out, feather to black around that. And these reds are kind of like what we saw with Singapore, because that's part of the movie. He has to deal with Singapore and pirates in Singapore. So I love that they have these graphics and stuff behind them. It's just awesome. And then of course we finish off with the Pirates of the Caribbean logo. So I hope this video helped you out. I actually found it really hard to look at this because I was either fangirling a little bit because the trailer is just so awesome, or there were moments where I'm trying to think of what can we take away from each moment, because there's so much to unpack. But I hope this video helped you out. Good luck with your trailers. If there was a tip that really helped you, let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe, folks. Good luck, and I will see you next time.